Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Star vs. the Forces of Evil Season 4, Episodes 1 and 2. So yeah, we are here at Season 4, and it's been quite a long time. Now, before we begin talking about this, real quick, the camera looks really foggy to me. Like, is that just me? Does it kind of look really foggy and fuzzy and just kind of grainy a little bit? Like it's not fully focused. I've checked the settings in OBS. I'm using my new computer, by the way. I'm on my new computer right now. I've checked the settings in OBS, and I can't figure it out. It looks off to me, yet for some reason, everything is set properly. And I have no idea what to do with that. Because I've looked online, I've tried to find any answers. I can't find anything as to why it would be doing this. And most of the help stuff I've been finding is for the newer OBS, and it's like, at that point, it's useless to me because I don't use the newer OBS. I use the old version. I use version 0.659B because, in my eyes, it's better. It just works better. It makes more sense. It's more user-friendly. It's kind of the same reason I use an old version of Windows Movie Maker. But yeah, I've never had this problem on the old computer where it's like this. It looks, again, off, and I don't know how else to describe it. And it's not just the lighting in here, because the lighting in here is really no different than it ever is. There's nothing wrong with any of filters or anything. I have no idea what it is. I could not tell you. If you know, if you have any ideas, if you have any suggestions for possible fixes, please let me know. But in the meantime, as long as we use the new computer to record, it's unfortunately going to look like this. Maybe it's not just the webcam either. I know that because, again, it's never done this on the old computer. But yeah, like I said, nothing we can really do about it, short of getting a new webcam, and it's like, not going to worry about that right now. In the meantime, though, we're just going to get on with this. So, last we left off, from what I remember, the main thing was, what is her name? Oh my God, I can't think of her name. It's like, the woman who ran the school at first. Meteora. That's not the name she went by, but that's her real name. So Meteora was rampaging around and causing trouble and everything. She hated the Mumins and shit. And Eclipsa, who is her mother, we found out, was trying to stop her. Because Eclipsa actually seems like a pretty cool person. At the end, they did manage to defeat Meteora, mostly Eclipsa, who turned her into a baby again. And things kind of were concluded with that. Eclipsa took Meteora, and they found Globcore, who we find out is Eclipsa's monster husband, which is what What's-His-Face has been trying to warn them all about this entire time, Glossaric. And, which is funny, he was acting like a complete moron, he was being Glossaric. But Star is having some doubts about her even being considered royalty, because, as was found out, after Eclipsa, Meteora was switched out with a peasant girl. And so technically the line of real royalty ended with Eclipsa. Because Meteora never got to be a real princess. And the real royal lineage isn't actually connected anymore. But my thoughts when I first saw that, if you remember, were like, she's still royalty. She may not have been born at that point. The person who was replaced, who Meteora was replaced by, she may have not been born into royalty, but she was declared royalty. And royalty can be declared. It can be by birth, declaration, or by marriage. And it was a declaration of royalty, even though it was made to look like she was just real royal and history was rewritten, historical revisionism, which is a big thing with this series. Um, but yeah, so Star is doubting it, but here's the thing. She was declared royalty, and then everyone after that would have been born into that royalty. So Star and her family are still legitimate royalty, no matter how you look at it. um, so I kind of feel like that entire inner turmoil she's facing is a little weak, personally. Um, Now, going into the season, I know that season 4 is the final season. I have not seen any of the trailers, so I have no idea what's to come. Um, there are hints that maybe Eclipsa might end up being proven to be a bad guy all along, and that she was playing the long game and shit. And that she and Globcore are going to try and take over now or something. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know. Something is telling me that that's not going to happen. But then who would the bad guy be? Will there even be like a bad guy in the traditional sense, or will it be more along the lines of, oh, the council and human society as a whole are the bad guy, and the real point of the season is going to be fixing all of that. Finally fixing human society. Having monsters and humans being able to live together. Having all of the historical revisionism be revealed to the public. Shit like that. There's a lot of things they could and should do with this. But I don't know exactly what they will do with it. It's kind of hard to say at this point. But this is the final season, and I feel like they have to wrap things up to some degree in a satisfactory way. Now, because it's the final season, there's one other thing that I do want to touch on. Because this is something that has been built up as a legitimate part of the series, and that is romance. It's kind of leading towards the idea of Marco and Star getting together, and I've mentioned in the past I hate that ship. Not that I don't like the idea of them being together at all. I hate the ship more because of I think people are like too invested in it. It's kind of like this overblown ship that people just kind of act almost like is the one true pairing, the OTP. And if it's your OTP, that's fine. But people are are acting like it's the almost canon thing. And up to this point, I mean, yes, there's been hints of it, and yes, they've basically admitted they like each other. But it's not been a straightforward canon thing, and people are acting like they're already a couple. Like it's been like super obvious. And another problem is I don't think they have romantic chemistry. I'm sorry, I've said it before and I'm saying it again. They have great chemistry as friends, but it's not romantic. There is a legitimate difference between romantic and just friend-based chemistry. There's an actual term for that. I can't think of what it is. Like non-romantic, platonic. There we go. There's a difference between romantic and platonic chemistry. For example, Ruby. The chemistry between Yang and Ruby and Yang and Ruby. Wow. I mean, some people I'm sure ship it, but geez, no, that's wrong. Between Yang and Blake, the chemistry between Yang and Blake is clearly and contextually romantic. It is in every way, in every form, in every context, romantic. Seeing it as just a friendship is straight up denial. It's not like it's creepy or weird or anything to see it like that. It'd be more creepy or weird to see it as more of a sisterly bond. It's just straight up denial though, because it's like everything is there. all of the evidence, all of the context. It can't be read any other way. And I kind of view it the same way here with Star and Marco. It's completely platonic. And it's super obvious. And the show tries to push the idea of a romance between them, but it always, every time anything is even moved forward with that idea, it always feels fake. It always feels wrong. It feels unnatural because they don't have that chemistry together. They don't feel like a romantic couple when they are together. They feel like best friends. And it's been an issue I've had with a lot of shows throughout the years about how a lot of shows will automatically just force the main male and main female character together because, just because. There's no real reason. The characters don't actually have to have good romantic chemistry with each other, but since they're the main male and main female characters, they just have to be together. And I've always thought that was extremely damaging because it implies the idea that if a guy and a girl are friends, they have to end up together. They have to be romantically linked. They can't just be friends. Guys and girls can just be friends. And they should be, and we should see more of that. And I'm not saying just because, I'm not even saying this just because I want to see more LGBT ships become canon and stuff. Not even just because I ship Star with Jana more so than I do with Marco, and I ship Marco. I mean, there's proof that I don't. It's not just about LGBT ships because I ship Marco with Jackie or even Kelly. Marco has exceptionally more romantic chemistry with either of them than he does with Star. And I'll admit, Star doesn't exactly have great romantic chemistry with Jana or anything, but that's more of just a fun ship. And I admit that. Star, I feel, doesn't have romantic chemistry with anyone. And showing her, show interest in someone, that's not romantic chemistry. Romantic chemistry isn't just a character showing interest in someone. Like I've always said, there's a big difference between love and lust. Love takes time, love takes effort, and love takes getting to know someone. Lust is just kind of in the moment. Like when Star went goo-goo over older Marco's abs and all. It wasn't out of love. It was because she had a moment of lust. But either way, there's no romantic chemistry. I'm sorry. I've tried to see it. I've tried so hard. But again, the show trying to push it, the story of the episodes trying to push it, does not equal romantic chemistry. The characters, even admitting that they like each other, does not equal romantic chemistry. I'm bringing this all up because I feel like they're definitely going to be pushing this again in the season and probably are going to make it canon. And it irritates me because, well, again, it just pushes forward that really damaging idea that guys and girls have to be romantically linked. That they can't just be friends, especially within the main character sphere of these kinds of shows. And on top of it, it just doesn't work it just doesn't work. So they're probably going to do it, and it's going to be a huge mistake for the show. Hell, I would much rather sooner see Marco and Tom get together. I would much sooner see Star and Tom get back together. Like, legitimately get back together. I would rather see Star end up with Ponyhead than Marco. Let's put it that way. I feel there's even more there than there is with Marco. And there's pretty much nothing there. And honestly, I barely want to see Ponyhead end up with anyone. Because I don't like Ponyhead. But either way. I'm not gonna ramble on about this any longer. I've said my piece, and I just want to get on with these episodes. So I again do apologize for the camera quality. I have no idea why it's like that. I even tried cleaning the camera, I think it was maybe that, but apparently not. Apparently not. Um, I have no clue. Again, if you have any ideas or anything, please let me know. I've tried going into the settings on OBS and shit, tried going into the specifically the face cam settings and all. Everything is focused right. It's set to the highest focus. I don't know what's going on. And I've even tried both versions of OBS and I can't figure it out. So, like I said, until we can figure something out, it's going to be like this. And the actual webcam on the computer is worse, so we're not going to use that. Either way, so we're going to get this started. We're going to move into the episodes now. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. Oh, episodes, actually. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we will begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, so, I'm sorry, just the fuzziness of this all, just the way it looks. It's just so off-putting. I really hope I can figure out what's going on with that. But either way, so this premiere was all about Star and them working to find Moon. All about how Moon's been missing since the events of season 3, with the what was it called? The magic dimension? I think so. And they've been trying to find her everywhere. So we find out she was on Pie Island. She had fallen from the sky, presumably, I guess, from the magic dimension. Rift opened up, she fell onto Pie Island. And she had been working there in this volcano as the Sky Baker this entire time. So this set of episodes was good. It was a good way to bring us back into the series. Wasn't like anything phenomenal or anything. Like it wasn't like the best episodes, but I enjoyed them. Star and Marco were great as always. I liked the concept of the photo, because we've seen that photo plenty of times, like again on Marco's fridge and all. Like he mentioned, and we just kind of assumed, oh, they spent a day together at the beach off screen. It's not that unreasonable to assume that. But then we find out she got that from Father Time, and that it's from the future, and that they haven't done the beach yet. Which means we might possibly have a beach episode this season. Which, I know Starverse is inspired by anime, but it's like, do we need a beach episode? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd like to see some of these characters in beachwear for sure. Especially if we bring in some of the other characters like Jackie or Kelly or whatnot, or Tom or whoever. Just a beach episode with all of them would be just it could be really a lot of fun. And considering the kind of things Starverse does, they could make a real blast out of it. Maybe even literally. So we found out about that. I love the scene where Marco is like talking to Eric, I believe his name was, the one who was in character as Queen Moon, at the Pie Carnival. And they were talking about like makeup and everything, and it's like, I love that. I love Marco as a character so much. One, because he's a male princess, which is just an amazing concept to have for a Disney cartoon like this. On top of that, he's just really smart and cool, and he's savvy in a fight because of, again, those like 30 or so years, however long it was, when he was chasing down Hekapoo and all. And he's in touch with his feminine side. he clearly identifies as a male, but he is, well, I mean, even outside of just being a princess, he's in touch with his feminine side. He likes makeup. He likes wearing dresses and stuff. He's cool with that kind of thing. He has no issue with it, and that's cool. I like seeing that. I love seeing characters like that. Um, and he's really one of the most progressive cartoon characters out there in terms of that kind of thing. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Um, we had some good humor with River, basically just being River. um, yeah, he's always fun. I did not expect Fool Duke to appear. I didn't like that one came kind of out of nowhere. Like when we saw the cloaked figure and everything during that little human auction scene, which is really dark if you think about it, because human auctions do happen. Um, People are kidnapped and put onto the slave trade in real life, and it's absolutely horrible. It's disgusting and evil, and most of the time it tends to be used for sexual reasons, basically just straight up say rape. Um, and a lot of these times these people are will be put to work, and it's disgusting. It's atrocious. But it's real, and the fact that they include something like that in this, while not surprising because of this stuff Star Versus has included um, already in the first three seasons, it's still just like shocking, and it's like shit. But yeah, when we saw the cloaked figure, we saw that she had dark hands. And so my first thought was Kelly, because I could imagine Kelly coming and saving them in this kind of way. Um, Now, I also imagine Kelly could also take a more direct approach, but I could see this too. But then it ended up being Full Duke, and we find out more about her as a character, how she's actually from here. She is Pie-folk. And she and her husband came there to visit her family and everything, Rubariat. It was good to see him again. Good to hear Patrick Stump just voicing a character in a cartoon again. I love that it's Patrick fucking Stump from Fall Out Boy. That's great. Um, but yeah, um, we see them. We see the monkey. When we first saw the monkey, I had no idea it was hers. In hindsight, it's obvious, of course, because Full Duke does have a monkey. In fact, I think she's the only character we know has a monkey. And we've seen her monkey on multiple occasions and know what it looks like. Um, I'm almost kind of surprised it didn't seem to have an issue with River, considering didn't he like throw it out the window at one point? Um, but yeah, this was fun. I like how at the very beginning of episode one here, they were searching the tower apparently for the third time in a row. We saw a little bit of Tom in there, and he's worried about Star and them and trying to offer support and all, because he's a cool guy. And I think at this point, I think Star and Tom are technically still together. I think Tom and Star are still together, and like when he called Marco after he had called Star, he's still bros with Marco as well, which is good to see. I'm good with that. Cloudy was interesting in this one. Like, Cloudy's been there pretty much since the beginning of the show, and I don't know like whether to call Cloudy a he or a she. I really don't know. I'm just gonna say them. Uh, they've always been this kind of character who's always been kind of cutesy and fun and a little silly and not stupid, but not really like showing any kind of huge intelligence. But in these episodes, Cloudy showed kind of a little bit of sass. A little bit of sass and a little bit more than we've seen from them. And that's interesting. I like that. Um, the Pie Carnival itself was like nothing really to talk about there. Um, but yeah, it's like I like this concept. We saw a little bit of Eclipsa and Meteora as well. I like that we find out that Eclipsa is in charge now, that Star gave the kingdom back to her because in Star's mind, she's the rightful queen, that she is the one rightfully in charge because of everything that had happened in the past. So she's in charge. Meteora's a demon baby who's crawling on the walls and having exorcist moments. And they're trying to excavate Globcore, they're not having any luck with. That is, I am completely confident that will happen before the end of the season, though. We also see a little bit of Glossaric, and it gave us one of the most interesting and thought-provoking moments of the episodes of this season premiere. He brings up the idea, when Star asks him what happened in the magic dimension, he's like, no, that's not the right question. The question is, why were you there in the first place? And she's like, well, I had to go there to rescue my mom. And it's like, and he's basically, he says like, well, maybe that was a mistake. Because she mentioned the other time she went there too and all, to defeat Toffee. And he's like, maybe that was a mistake too. And it's like, it really gets you thinking because it kind of cuts off there. And it's like, huh, that's an interesting thought. Because wasn't it Glossaric who kind of led her to going to the magic dimension to stop Toffee in the first place? With the digging deep thing? Maybe I'm misremembering that, but I swear that he was kind of involved in that, which actually would explain like why he said that though. Like maybe that was a mistake too, and he seemed almost guilty. He didn't give a riddle to her. He didn't answer with like this necessarily straight question, but he wasn't like giving this complex riddle or anything. He wasn't being what you would expect Glossaric to normally be like. He was serious in his response. And that is really thought-provoking. I definitely think that's going to come back, that idea. Especially now that we've got Moon back, and she doesn't remember pretty much anything except that song. So this is interesting already. This is a good start to the season. Again, could have been a little better maybe, but it's a good start, and it really leaves a lot of questions. Also, one last thing before I end this. The Pie King mentioned also that even before, I guess, Eclipsa, there was another Queen of Muni who wasn't born into the family. Festivia, who I think we've heard about before. Wasn't she in that room of like all the queens, all the little murals to the queens? Wasn't she in there? Maybe I'm wrong, but I swear I've heard that name before. But yeah, apparently that we have another one, so maybe even Eclipsa isn't legitimate. So there's a lot of questions about the entire butterfly lineage that we don't have the answers to, and I don't know if we'll ever fully get the answers. And okay, I just thought of one more thing I want to talk about because I don't want to end this without talking about this. The entire thing about after Star had given the kingdom to Eclipsa and Eclipsa started welcoming monsters in, a lot of the people seem to not like this. And I think this is an important big thing because I'm going to compare it to something that's not 100% comparable, but it's the first thing I thought of. So in real life, there's this big decision made to allow gay marriage completely in the United States. It was this big deal, and there were a lot of people who were not on board with it. There were a lot of people who were saying like, oh, it was ruining the country. It was destroying the sanctity of marriage and completely upending what makes America great or what makes America America. People were really getting pissy about it when that went through. And eventually, all of the hate and everything, I mean, it's still kind of there, but it's died down. Like the specific vitriolic attacks on the decision itself have kind of died down, and people are still complaining about just gay people and lesbians and all of that marrying, but the focus has kind of moved away from the actual decision and the people who put that decision into play. And it kind of makes me think of this because it's like, obviously it's not completely comparable, but um, the LGBT community has been extremely distanced by a lot of American politicians and society. We have been hated on, we have been denied rights and everything, in the same way that in Star Versus, the monsters have been denied rights and hated on and just, for lack of a better word, dehumanized. And with that monumental decision, LGBT people were given the right to marry, something that was a big deal, something that people see as this ultimate symbol of love. Even people who disagreed with this view marriage as an ultimate symbol of love, and which is one of their biggest reasons for why they disagree with this. But I'm not going to get into that. And here in Star Versus, with the monsters being brought into society, people are kind of viewing it in that way too. That it's kind of destroying Mumin society, that it's destroying Muni as a kingdom, and upending what makes Muni great, basically. It's the same kind of concept. Or this could even more obviously be compared to the civil rights movement and the desegregation of black people from schools, public locations, drinking fountains and restrooms. When black people were allowed to start integrating into others, there were all kinds of riots and protests and people attacking these poor black kids, women, men, everyone, and it was terrible. And they were saying at that time too that because of this decision to allow them into our society, our white superior society, that they argued that it was destroying America and it was going to make things so much worse. And look at things today. Black people are just, yes, there's still racism, but black people are just a part of our country now. We don't think about we don't really think about them being segregated or integrated anymore. That's not part of the conversation anymore. Black people are part of America. And this kind of thing is how I feel that this might end up with Star Versus, with Muni. Yeah, these people are angry right now, and a lot of them may never get over it. But the vitriol, the hate, and everything is going to die down, and things are going to go into normalcy. Things are going to become better. And eventually, while some people are still going to be racist against these monsters, the monsters are going to just be a part of human society. So, yeah, it's just like, that's a big thing for them to cover, and they've been covering it. This has been an ongoing plot point the entire series, pretty much. Historical revisionism, especially regarding the monsters, was there from that Muni history play that they put on at that one point. I want to say that was season 1, maybe 2, but I think it was season 1. And it's like the concept has always been there, and I like that. I like that Darren Nefsi, I want to say her name is, But she and the other showrunners and creators of Star Versus are taking these real kinds of situations and putting them into this fantastical, magical world and telling the audience a story, telling the audience a real, meaningful story while teaching them about what this kind of stuff is. Kids are going to see this and they're going to see the parallels to real life and they're going to know what to do because of this show. And that's amazing. I love it when shows do this. MLP does this. Steven Universe does this. Even Gravity Falls did this. Though Gravity Falls was a little more subtle about it, if we're being honest. But yeah, this is fantastic. And I really can't wait to see where they go with this. And I really hope that this season ends Starverses off in the best way possible. But tell me in the comments below what you thought of these first 2 episodes of the final season of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. What did you think of the quest to find Queen Moon? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,